All right, hey everybody. Hopefully audio is okay. We'll see. I might try to do like a voiceover for this video later, but maybe not, depending on how things turn out and sound. So we're out with the Rad Runner, the OG Rad Runner this morning, and I think the topic of the video will be something along the lines of, how is the Rad Runner, the OG single speed Rad Runner from, I think it's 2018-ish. How is it in 2023? Is it still a good bike? Is it still a great bike? It's obviously a good bike, right? It's been a good bike for a while already, and this one's been a great one to me. I've got a bunch of weird stuff on here today, partially for testing purposes and maybe for demonstration purposes. Battery charging stuff, solar panel stuff, all kinds of fun weird stuff. But so this is just the first stop on the little tour. I'm going to ride around down in the Kent Valley here, the interurban valley, and stop in one or two spots and try to collect my thoughts and sum up what we still love about this bike, what we maybe hate about it, if anything. Hate, strong word. Who it might still be for in 2023, and who might want more, or why they might want more, why somebody might want to upgrade from something like this. Lots to talk about, but yeah, I thought I'd do a little ride footage with you as well, right? So let's try that and ride to the next spot, and then we'll stop and talk a little bit again. All right, we may try to do a little bit of in-cockpit audio while riding underway, but there's a bit of wind noise. This is just an iPhone we're recording on here, so I may elect to ride quietly quite a bit and put some words on the screen from time to time over the ride footage, if anything, and then stop and do more talking when we're stationary, right? Might work out a little better for the most part. But what I did want to call your attention to as we get off the gravel, and while we're still alone together, is my Rad Runner, to remind you all, is modified. It has the Electro Bike World version of the popular controller upgrade, also sold by Area 13 e-bikes. Great controller and display. It's like a KT8H LCD or something like that, paired with a 35 amp controller. And the bike is louder than stock quite a bit. Now I'm down in pedal assist levels now, level 2, and it almost sounds normal. It almost sounds stock. You can hear it kick in really strongly at level 3 here. She starts singing. So, some people will call that a con of the kit. By all means, it's a trade-off for getting the extra torque that the new controller pushes out of the stock motor. I honestly think without modifying these bikes, pretty much any of the Rad Power Bikes series, living where we do in the Pacific Northwest, where everything is hills and valleys, even here, very westerly, almost coastally here in the South Seattle area. Without modifying these bikes for more power, even healthy people will have trouble getting up the steeper hills. with some very light modification like we've done, it becomes totally doable. Yeah, it's absolutely crucial for the experience on these bikes. Unless you're really, really aware of their limitations and absolutely okay with that, or you're really actually a very robust cyclist already, or always were, and are really all about getting that hard workout in no matter what, even with electric assist. I don't think these bikes have enough power. Everybody knows it's a 500 watt motor that peaks around 750 stock, especially on this generation of the motor. So yeah, the kit, huge improvement. Everyone will tell you about it. It's not new. It's been on this bike for a couple of years already. Probably definitely lost 5 miles or more off the top of my bike's ultimate range on a single battery charge. Moving to this kit, who cares? It makes the bike absolutely amazing and rideable in a way that it never was before. And again, let's not forget these Rad Runners are cargo bikes. They're mid-sized cargo bikes, and I very much utilize it as such. Always hauling absolute nonsense around on this bike in terms of cargo. Sometimes very heavy things, very awkward things, and I love it for its ability to take those with some degree of grace and capability. That'll come up more when we park and look it over again in some more detail and talk about some crucial features that are on this bike and that have been on this bike, the whole time since 2018, for the most part. Okay, this is take 2 of the wrap-up of the discussion of, how good of a bike is the original Rad Runner in 2023. And I already did it once, but I was a little long-winded, and my contrast was really out of whack, and my camera angle was like right up here the whole time in the chest rig. So we've gone handheld, so forgive any shakiness you might detect. And I'm going to try to be a little more succinct. What we're going to do is briefly revisit my bike setup in full. We'll do like a quick bike check, and then we'll wrap up with a couple of contrasts between this and the more modern Rad Runner Pluses, and why, for a few different very specific reasons, I'm very happy to have the original here. Just a moment. All right, we're going to try to continue. I'm hoping that the music that's being played in the background isn't going to be picked up too much by my mic, and that we won't get like some obscure, stupid copyright strike for some reason. But I'm down here at a local park that happens to be connected to the Seattle Sounders soccer training facilities, and somebody's playing some country music inside there to the players. So anyway, bike check. This is my original Rad Runner. You guys have seen it before. I've done a bit of a bike check before. This, as I've mentioned, has the Electro Bike World / Area 13. Of course, a train decides to go by now too. It's perfect. It's perfect. We love it. 35 amp controller and display. It's a big, beautiful display. Huge improvement over the standard Rad Power display. Not a lot of features there, but it'll give you things like maximum speed, average speed, trip distance, a couple other little things like that. Battery percentage, battery voltage. Beautiful display, really makes the bike. I've done things to make it my own. Almost everything I got here, accessories-wise, I either had laying around for years on a moped and stripped it off and threw it on here. Got it for cheap on local classifieds for $30 or $40. I think I got this combo together, or I think it was this combo together. That's the way we get our come-ups around here, folks. I've got wacky stuff like a 12-volt LifePo 4 battery hiding in my mini Harbor Freight center console. There's my roadside repair toolkit for the bike. Spare gloves in the Northwest. These are your urban exploring, you know, your dumpster diving and parkouring gloves. That way you keep your riding gloves nice and clean. So if you're out adventuring, you know, some spare gloves are great. If these got soaked too, maybe these suck, but they might get you home a couple of miles before you're, you know, cold to the bone again. Anyway, there's my little LifePo 4. I, you know, drilled a porthole through there to run it back up to my goofy little Ryobi setup back here. And we're just having fun today, experimenting with a setup that would allow me to power my Rad Power Bike's charger. I've got that stashed up in the frunk here, tucked away. You know, so if I took a long enough break, I could turn on the inverter back there, and then we're doing it all. We're just having fun with this today because we have the real estate back here. So the solar panels, keeping the LifePo 4 topped up. I may plug in the Rad Power battery if I was going to be out for much longer here today, but I really am not. I'm just out goofing around, having fun doing this video. But, you know, because the Rad Runner has so much room, so much real estate to have fun like this, you find yourself doing crazy stuff like carrying a huge 800 watt inverter and being ready to charge your own batteries at a break. I've got all my tools and my charger set up and all my other little goodies in my two smaller cargo onboard containers here, leaving the back bed still wide open for whatever I want to put back here. If I wanted to go do a little overnight trip of some kind, you know, glamping, bike glamping, e-bike glamping, I can carry two batteries, extra capability to charge those batteries through my little gadgets, and I have plenty of room for gear without resorting to encumbering my body too much, you know, backpacks and things on a bike like this. So this is very much a cargo bike and very much akin to the longer tailed Rad Wagons and Yuba Mundos and all the other long tail cargo bikes that are out there. But anyone who has owned a Rad Runner of any flavor or any of these mid-sized cargo bikes, they'll tell you this is the way to go. It's like the difference between having my Chevy Astro minivan and a full-size van. Sure, is there a argument to be made that the guy with the full-size V8 church van, 15-passenger church van, has even more utility and capability than I do? I guess so. I guess he could put 3 grand pianos in the back of one of those things and still carry your family along with you. But most of the rest of the time, the Astro's gonna do it for you. You can stick bikes in the back of that thing and still carry people. You can stick, you know, tailgate and barbecue and picnic and camping gear in the back of that thing and still carry people. This is that. In my other take of this video, I called it the Subaru Forester of e-bikes. This is another great analogy for this. So to sum it up again, because I promised I was going to be quicker this time. This was my, you know, my basic bike check. It's largely the stock bike. Everything that you see here is Farkles. My tires are a little different than stock. I do have a DOT type rated moped type tire on the front and rear of this bike, and those do save me a ton of the little incidental. I can forget about blackberries now. I don't have to worry about blackberry thorns. I can forget about small pieces of glass now. I did just catch a flat the other day. Whole ass 3-inch long, 2-inch long framing nail. Okay, it was a nail. A nail's going through just about anything. Probably would have went through a Tannis tire liner too at the length that it was. Maybe not I don't know. I've never had the Tanis in there yet. These have suited me very well. If you live in a flat area, the stock bike will do you just fine. If you live anywhere with hills, you're going to want to mod these things, but they're a very affordable e-bike to acquire. You can find them used for a fraction of the price new. And if you're like me and willing to run the rigid bike, the single speed bike, the basic bike, you're going to find those for hundreds less than the Rad Runner Pluses. And I'm going to wrap up by reminding everybody that that center stand down there is one of the biggest, most powerful features of any cargo bike that you could ever want to have. Fit a center stand to your cargo bike if you don't already have one. If you have a Rad Runner Plus like my wife's, I pulled a center stand off of an older e-bike we had around and I think I drilled a hole in that frame to accommodate. I can't recall if I drilled on her poor frame, but we put a center stand on that thing. It's been on there since day one. Got to have a center stand if you want to put your kids on back as a passenger, which you know the Rad Runners will run a passenger kit. Okay, I'm getting all worked up about the center stand. How can you load cargo on a cargo bike without a center stand? You know, if you have a big old platform out back and you're leaning over sideways on a side stand, which is what they've done to you with the Rad Runner Plus and the Rad Runner 2 Plus and the 3 Plus, there's no more center stand on those bikes. Why? I don't really know. I'm also not the greatest fan of losing the simple streamlined battery in back. I'm sure they had their reasons. I would say most of the reasons is marketing and some perception that it might be more secure in the down tube in the semi-integrated fashion. Either integrate the thing fully so we don't have to look at it at all up there and then close this gap on the frame, which they did not do, or as far as I'm concerned, I love it just the way it is. I want my battery removable. The new center console on the 2 Pluses and the 3 Pluses is tiny. It's the size of this thing compared to the original center console. The Rad center console took up this entire space down here. Phenomenal, huge, huge capacity. 2-3 grocery bags worth of gear could go into that tote. And my wife routinely tested the limits of the cargo capacity on that center console and still does all the time. If I found a center console cheap enough for this one somewhere come up used, you can believe my little Harbor Freight box is out of here. I'll put the real center console in there because it's a phenomenal feature that they came up with there. Anyway, so that's Lazy Rider's review of the Rad Runner in 2023. It's still an amazing value. Buy one, mod it immediately for a little bit more power, go through the rigmarole, go through the hoops. The community is there for you. They'll get you across the finish line on that front, and then begin customizing it the way it suits your lifestyle and go out and have adventures and fun, because it's one of the funnest bikes you'll ever ride. It's slow, but as long as you're riding by yourself or with other bikes that are similar to it, you'll never feel sorry that you got this thing, because it's a little tank and it's gonna outlast you. It probably will. All right, that's it. That's all we need to do. You guys enjoy. Comment down below if you like my setup. Comment down below if it's preposterous. Roast my windshield. Roast my hilarious yellow light. Roast my Ryobi Farkles. Just, you know, like and subscribe or something. Whatever you're supposed to do. We know how it goes. All right. Take care out there. Keep riding. We'll talk to you soon. Lazy Rider out.